Hello, I'm Dr. Robert Anderson. For over 30 years, I've had the distinct privilege of specializing in geriatric medicine, helping thousands of seniors across the United States navigate the complexities of their golden years. From my practice in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona, I've seen firsthand the triumphs and challenges that come with aging, and one of the most persistent and misunderstood challenges is managing type 2 diabetes. So, let me ask you a question. As you stand in your kitchen, perhaps looking out at a familiar backyard, what's the one thing you believe is an undeniably healthy choice to start your day? For many of my patients, the answer is a tall, cool glass of fruit juice. It feels wholesome, natural, and brimming with vitamins. But what if I told you that this seemingly innocent morning ritual could be sabotaging your blood sugar control more viciously than a frosted donut? It's a shocking thought, I know. We've been conditioned for decades by commercials, by conventional wisdom, even by well-meaning but outdated dietary guidelines, to believe that fruit is fruit, and that in any form, it's a gift from nature. This is one of the most dangerous myths I encounter in my practice, a comfortable belief that can lead to erratic blood sugar spikes, profound fatigue, and the long-term, devastating complications of unmanaged diabetes. The truth is, not all fruit choices are created equal, especially for a body that has become less efficient at processing sugar. The way a fruit is prepared, its natural composition, and the quantity you consume can make the difference between a healthy, energizing snack and a metabolic disaster waiting to happen. Today, we are going to pull back the curtain on this pervasive myth. This isn't about fear-mongering or creating a list of forbidden foods that leaves you feeling deprived. This is about empowerment. It's about giving you the critical knowledge to make discerning choices, to understand the why behind the advice, so you can take confident, authoritative control of your health. We will journey together through the hidden minefields of the fruit aisle and your pantry. We'll uncover the 5 specific types of fruit preparations that can be particularly perilous for seniors with diabetes. More importantly, we will replace confusion with clarity, providing you with simple, actionable strategies and delicious alternatives that work with your body, not against it. We're going to transform your relationship with fruit from one of uncertainty to one of informed enjoyment. So, pour yourself a glass of water, get comfortable, and let's begin this vital conversation. Your health, your vitality, and your future depend on it. The first and perhaps most critical area we must address is the pervasive deception of liquid sugar. For generations, a glass of orange juice has been the quintessential symbol of a healthy American breakfast. We see it in movies, on cereal boxes, and in our own childhood memories. It's supposed to be packed with vitamin C, a bright and cheerful way to start the day. The problem is that for a senior with diabetes, that glass of sunshine is more like a lightning bolt to your bloodstream. When we take a whole, beautiful orange, full of its complex structure, and squeeze it into juice, we perform a sort of nutritional alchemy in reverse. We strip away its most valuable protective element, the fiber. Fiber is the magic ingredient that slows down digestion. It forms a gel-like substance in your gut, forcing your body to work harder and take longer to break down the sugars and absorb them into your bloodstream. This slow, gentle release is what your pancreas is designed to handle, allowing for a modest and manageable insulin response. Now, consider what happens with juice. You've removed all that fiber. What's left is essentially sugar water with some vitamins. When you drink an 8-ounce glass of orange juice, you're consuming the sugar from 3 to 4 oranges in a matter of seconds. Without the fiber to act as a brake, that concentrated dose of fructose and glucose hits your liver and bloodstream with explosive force. Imagine trying to put out a campfire with a gentle mist from a garden hose versus dousing it with a bucket of gasoline. The juice is the gasoline. Your blood sugar rockets upward, forcing your already strained pancreas to work overtime, pumping out insulin in a panic to try and manage the deluge. This inevitably leads to the dreaded crash an hour or two later, leaving you feeling exhausted, irritable, and craving more sugar. It's a vicious cycle that perpetuates insulin resistance and makes managing your A1C levels an uphill battle. The solution is profoundly simple, yet requires a conscious shift in habit. I tell my patients to fall in love with the whole fruit again. Instead of drinking that glass of juice, peel and eat one single medium-sized orange. Notice the experience, the act of peeling it, the segments, the satisfying texture of the pulp. That one orange will make you feel fuller and more satisfied than the glass of juice ever could, and it will deliver its sugar slowly and gently. The fiber will not only buffer the sugar absorption, but it will also aid in digestive health and help you feel satiated, preventing overeating later. If you miss the flavor in your water, slice up a lemon, a lime, or even a few strawberries, and let them infuse a pitcher of cold water in your refrigerator. You get a hint of the taste without any of the metabolic chaos. I remember a patient, a lovely woman named Margaret from San Diego, California. She was in her late 70s and couldn't understand why her morning blood sugar readings were always so high, despite her healthy breakfast of toast and orange juice. We made only one change. We swapped her 8-ounce glass of OJ for one whole orange. Within a month, her morning readings stabilized. She reported having more energy throughout the day, and at her next checkup, her A1C had dropped by half a point. It was a powerful testament to the fact that sometimes the smallest changes can have the most profound impact. If you found this first point about liquid sugars helpful, and it has given you a new perspective on your morning routine, please type a 1 in the comments section below. If this wasn't new information, or you didn't find it useful, please type a 0. Your feedback is incredibly valuable and helps me tailor my advice to be as effective as possible for you. Next, we need to venture into the pantry and address the concentration trap, a pitfall that ensnares many well-intentioned individuals. I'm talking specifically about dried fruits and fruits canned in heavy syrup. These items are popular because of their convenience and long shelf life. A small box of raisins or a handful of dried apricots seems like a harmless, portable snack. A can of peaches promises the taste of summer in the middle of a cold Chicago winter. The problem lies in what happens to the fruit during its preservation process. Let's start with dried fruit. The process of dehydration simply removes the water. While this preserves the fruit, it also dramatically concentrates the sugar and calories into a much smaller, denser package. Consider grapes versus raisins. You might sit and eat 10 or 15 grapes and feel quite full. The water content fills your stomach. Now, think about how many raisins that would be. A tiny handful. You could easily eat 50 or 60 raisins worth of sugar in a few bites without feeling anywhere near as full. A quarter-cup serving of raisins can contain nearly 30 grams of sugar, the equivalent of about 7 teaspoons. Because they are so small and easy to eat, portion control becomes almost impossible. It's what I call unconscious eating. You might be watching television or reading a book, grabbing handful after handful, and before you know it, you've consumed the sugar equivalent of a large slice of cake. This sends your blood sugar on the same dangerous roller coaster as fruit juice. Dates and figs are particularly potent in this regard. While they contain fiber, the sheer density of their sugar content often overwhelms any benefit for a person with diabetes. Similarly, fruits canned in heavy syrup are a metabolic nightmare. The heavy syrup is little more than a sugar bath. Food processors add it to improve taste, texture, and shelf stability, but in doing so, they drench an otherwise healthy fruit in pure, refined sugar. This added sugar offers zero nutritional value and serves only to spike your glucose levels. It turns a perfectly good peach or pear into a piece of candy. The solution here is to become a diligent label reader and a savvy substituter. Your new mantra should be, fresh or frozen is always best. When buying canned fruit, which can still be a convenient option, you must look for specific wording on the label. Ignore anything that says, in heavy syrup, or in light syrup. Instead, search for fruit packed in its own juice, or even better, in water. This drastically reduces the added sugar load. For dried fruits, the strategy must be one of extreme moderation. They should not be considered a snack, but rather a condiment or a garnish. Instead of eating a handful of raisins, sprinkle a tablespoon of them over a large salad or into a bowl of plain oatmeal. That tiny amount can provide a burst of sweetness without overwhelming your system. An even better alternative is to embrace frozen fruits. They are picked and frozen at their peak of ripeness, so they retain all their nutrients and flavor without any added sugar. A bowl of frozen berries, thawed for a few minutes, is a delicious, high-fiber, low-sugar treat that is fantastic any time of year. I worked with a gentleman in Austin, Texas, named George, a retired engineer who loved to snack on dried mango slices while working on his model trains. He was plagued by high blood sugar in the evenings and couldn't figure out why. Once we identified the dried mango as the culprit and swapped it for a small bowl of fresh or frozen blueberries, his evening numbers came right down into a healthy range. It was about recognizing the hidden concentration of sugar in his seemingly innocent habit. I hope this explanation of the concentration trap has been eye-opening. If this information has helped you understand the hidden dangers in dried and canned fruits, please take a moment and type the number 1 in the comments. If you already knew this or didn't find it particularly helpful, please type 0. I truly appreciate you helping me to refine our shared understanding. Finally, we arrive at the most nuanced and often surprising category, the glycemic overload from certain fresh fruits. This is where many people get confused. They've diligently cut out the juice and the dried fruit, but their blood sugar is still on a wild ride. They think, "But doctor, I'm only eating fresh fruit. How can that be bad?" This is where we need to move beyond the simple good versus bad food mentality and embrace a more sophisticated understanding of how our bodies work. The key concepts here are the glycemic index, GI, and portion control. The glycemic index is a scale from 0 to 100 that ranks carbohydrate-containing foods by how much they raise your blood glucose levels. Foods with a high GI are digested and absorbed rapidly, causing a sharp spike in blood sugar. Foods with a low GI are digested more slowly, leading to a gentler, more gradual rise. For seniors with diabetes, aiming for lower GI foods is a cornerstone of effective management. Among fresh fruits, several popular choices fall high on the glycemic index, and these are the ones we need to be particularly mindful of. The list includes tropical fruits like mangoes and pineapple, very ripe bananas. The greener a banana, the lower its GI, and, surprisingly to many, watermelon. While watermelon is mostly water, the type of sugar it contains is very quickly absorbed, giving it a high GI of around 76. Now, this does not mean these fruits are forbidden forever. Banish that thought. However, it does mean they must be treated with respect and strategy. A huge, overflowing bowl of cubed watermelon on a hot summer day, eaten by itself, can send your blood sugar soaring just as effectively as a can of soda. A large, ripe, sweet mango can contain over 45 grams of sugar. Consuming these fruits in large quantities, and especially on an empty stomach, is the primary issue. The solution is twofold. Embrace portion awareness and practice the pairing principle. First, portions. A serving of fruit is not a giant wedge of melon or an entire mango. A proper serving size for a high-sugar fruit like this is about half a cup of cubes or a few small slices. Use a measuring cup a few times to retrain your eyes on what a correct portion looks like. It's often much smaller than you think. Second, and this is the game-changing strategy, is the pairing principle. Never eat a high GI carbohydrate, like a sweet fruit, by itself. Always pair it with a source of healthy fat, protein, or fiber. These nutrients act as a buffer, dramatically slowing down the absorption of sugar into your bloodstream. For example, instead of just eating slices of a ripe banana, have a few slices on a piece of whole grain toast with a smear of peanut or almond butter. The fat and protein in the nut butter will temper the banana's effect on your blood sugar. Have that half cup of mango with a handful of walnuts or a scoop of plain Greek yogurt. Enjoy your small portion of watermelon as part of a larger salad that includes feta cheese, olive oil, and cucumbers. This pairing strategy is the secret to being able to enjoy a wider variety of foods without paying the price in high blood sugar. It's about creating a balanced, synergistic meal rather than letting one ingredient hijack your metabolism. An elegant patient of mine in Chicago, Eleanor, loved to make big, beautiful tropical fruit salads. We worked together to re-engineer her recipe, reducing the amount of pineapple and mango and adding in avocado, a healthy fat, grilled chicken, protein, and lots of leafy greens, fiber. She could still enjoy the flavors she loved, but in a way that supported her health goals, not sabotaged them. This concept of the glycemic index and the pairing principle is a bit more complex, but it is absolutely essential for long-term success. If this section has clarified how even fresh fruits need to be managed and has given you a practical strategy to do so, please type a 1 below. If it felt confusing or wasn't helpful, a 00 would be appreciated. Your honest feedback is what helps our entire community learn and grow. As we bring our conversation to a close, let's take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. We began by shattering the dangerous myth that all fruit is created equal, a myth that has led so many well-meaning seniors down a path of frustration and poor glycemic control. We've replaced that myth with empowering knowledge. First, we identified the trap of liquid sugar, understanding that fruit juice, stripped of its fiber, is a metabolic bomb that floods our system with unbuffered sugar. The solution is simple and profound. Choose the whole fruit, every time. Second, we exposed the concentration trap hidden in our pantries, the deceptively high sugar content in dried fruits and fruits, canned in heavy syrup. We learned that the key is to read labels diligently, choose fresh or frozen options, and relegate dried fruit to the role of a minor condiment, not a major snack. Finally, we navigated the nuances of fresh fruit itself, learning about the glycemic index and the critical importance of portion control and the pairing principle. By pairing higher sugar fruits like watermelon or mango with healthy fats, proteins, or fiber, we can buffer their impact and enjoy them safely. These strategies are more than just dietary rules. They are a metaphor for a life well lived in our senior years. Managing a chronic condition like diabetes is not about deprivation or loss. It is about gaining wisdom, about making conscious, informed choices where we once acted on habit. It's about realizing that you are the ultimate authority on your own body. You are the CEO of your health. The world will present you with confusing messages and easy options, but you now possess the clarity to see through the noise. This journey isn't about what you can't have. It's about joyfully and confidently choosing what serves you best, what fuels your body for a vibrant, energetic, and long life. It is the ultimate act of self-respect and empowerment. I truly hope this discussion has been a source of clarity and motivation for you. Your health journey is important, and you are not on it alone. If you found this information valuable, I would be so grateful if you would take 3 simple actions. First, please leave a comment below. What was the most surprising thing you learned today? What is one small change you plan to make this week? Your stories and insights create a powerful community of support. Second, if you'd like to receive more practical, no-nonsense health advice for seniors, please consider subscribing to this channel or newsletter. We are committed to providing you with the tools you need to thrive. And finally, please share this article. Forward it to a friend, a sibling, a neighbor, or a loved one who is also navigating life with diabetes. You have the power to share this life-changing information, and in doing so, you might just change a life. Thank you for your time and your trust. Be well and be empowered.